Awesome. So today is Wednesday, March 22nd. We will start the session now. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning for the City of Los Angeles RAMP webinar discussing procurement opportunities with the City of Los Angeles, as well as with other entities within the city. We have a couple of guest speakers with us this morning, so we're really happy to take the time and review with you opportunities not only with the City of Los Angeles, but also with Los Angeles World Airports, as well as with Lynx, which is also working at LAX. So we have a fairly full agenda, and we'll start right now. One of the things that we have worked on, and this is, my name is Carlos Cordova with Sherpa Marketing Solutions. We've been working with City of Los Angeles promoting RAMP, is speaking and connecting with small businesses in the community that have achieved success with the City of LA and RAMP. So before we start with the session, let us share a short video testimonial from a business that has successfully worked with the City of LA.
Hi, my name is Kevin Ramsey, and I'm president of Alameda Construction Services. We've been in business since 1997. We are a site concrete contractor. We do curb and gutter, sidewalks, driveways, that type of work. We also do minor structural concrete. We use RAMP to find out about opportunities, and also when we're looking for work, we go to RAMP and search the site and see what opportunities are out there. And every agency in the city has their own contracts, but you can find out all about that when you register with RAMP, and then because that's where you go to look for the project. So all the city agencies put all of their bid opportunities in RAMP. The advice that I would recommend is keep the faith. You could do this. Find your opportunities. Find something that'll fit for your company. Find something that'll fit for your scope of work. The most important thing is to register in RAMP, because once you register in RAMP, then you find the opportunity. Sometimes the opportunity find you. You know, people are looking for you. So look in RAMP at least 2 or 3 times a week. Find the opportunity that you like. Put your proposal in, learn from your proposal, and do it again. Do it again, do it again, and then one of these times you're gonna get the opportunity to do it, and then once you do it, you do a good job so they can call you back. That's how we do our business. You know, we like to do repeat business with customers that like to do business with us. That's how you stay in business. That's how you get business with RAMP. It's a great opportunity. Don't miss out. Make sure you register, go there and look and send your proposals in.
So you can see that we have a strong base of contractors that are active in the system, and you'll hear a little bit more about how you also can benefit from participating in the program. To kick off the session, I'd like to turn it over to our first speaker, Shannon Hoppes. Shannon is the Chief Procurement Officer for the City of Los Angeles, and she has been leading the initiative for the last couple of years, promoting RAMP, creating this platform, and helping the local business community benefit from it. So Shannon, let me go ahead and turn it over to you, and we'll get started.
Thanks, Carlos, and welcome everybody. Thank you for spending this time with us today so we can talk a little bit about RAMP and how you can get involved. I'm going to jump right into it. We have a lot of information to share today. First and foremost, what is RAMP? RAMP is our regional alliance marketplace for procurement. And it's the way the City of Los Angeles communicates to the vendors, to the contractors, to all of you about what we want to buy. So we all of our departments, 50 some departments, place our solicitations on this platform. So this is a platform that is designed to house solicitations or advertisements in one place. As we rolled it out last year in February, we included the ability to ask other partners or agencies to post or advertise their procurement opportunities here as well. This was really modeled after something that they had done for the London Olympics. It was named, their platform was named Compete for London. And what it did is it centralized or aggregated all of the procurement opportunities related to the Olympics in one place. And that was advantageous to the business community because they didn't have to search multiple platforms for opportunities. London had given the vendors one place to access. So we as LA saw the opportunity to do something very similar, not only with winning the London bid, but or the Olympic bid, but also we have the World Cup and we are LA. So we are always about entertainment and sports and opportunity. So we did this again in February of 2022, and this added to the city's $4.5 billion of procurement spend. Next slide. As I mentioned, over the next several years, we're going to be experiencing large-scale events, the World Cup, the Olympics. And with all these opportunities, there is going to be lots of opportunity for you to get involved. Again, in addition to the city's opportunities, you have private organizations that have joined us on RAMP to advertise to all of you what they are looking to procure our contract for. So we expected RAMP to generate about $10 billion in procurement spend over its first year. And I believe we are fairly close. If not, maybe we have even exceeded that number at this point. We have not added it up recently, but you'll see, actually, we can move to the next slide. You can see our many participants in this space. This is just really a few of them. And you can see it's a diverse group here. We have additional public sector, such as City of Long Beach. We have our proprietaries, the Port of Los Angeles. We have DWP, the airport. But in addition to that, we have many other private sector companies, such as PCL, Burns and McDonnell, Cedars-Sinai, looking for diverse vendor pools. So they came to us saying, hey, City of LA, we want to be in this space. We want to add our procurement opportunities, or at least access your vendor pool so we can find different, or again, diverse vendors to participate in our procurement opportunities as well. So even if you weren't looking to do business with the City of LA or a government agency, RAMP is still a place where you can do business with multiple agencies. Next slide. What makes RAMP unique for the small business community is it's a central location where you can register, again, for multiple opportunities, both public and private sector opportunities. It makes it time efficient because they are centralized onto one platform. And this is also a place where you can educate yourself about the entire procurement process. So even if you're not ready to enter into a contract with any of these agencies or the City of LA, this is still a place where you can educate yourself about the process. Maybe it's a place that you can find out what we're all buying. It's a time that you can maybe grow and scale your business, or maybe even pivot it into a different type of business. While our platform has typically offered things that the City of Los Angeles purchases, now we're opening it up to opportunities that have not typically been what the city may purchase. So we'll be looking for florists or security services. Actually, that's something that the city does purchase, or lighting and events management, because we are having a different variety of agencies access this vendor pool. So we get a lot of questions about, should I register my business in Ramp? And the answer is yes. Because again, this is a place where you can see multiple opportunities, as well as register your business, advertise your business. You can load your business profile onto Ramp. That is something that we added to this space, is the ability for you to boast and brag about the type of business you are, talk about what types of things that you offer, maybe post a video or a logo, and talk about the type of businesses that you've already done business with in the past. So business profiles is a new function and feature of Ramp. Again, as well as finding out about how you can get certified for the certifications that the City of LA offers. Next slide.
Thank you, Shannon. Next, we have one of our first guest speakers here with us. June Lee works with LAWA, the Los Angeles World Airports. And I'm going to switch screens so that we can share the information that June has for us. Let me just make sure that June is here to go ahead and introduce himself and give us an overview.
Alrighty, well, good morning, everyone. My name is June Lee, and I work here at LAWA's Strategic Sourcing Division, formerly known as Procurement Services. And I'm very happy to be here this morning in support of Ramp and the Ramp team. And just very quickly provide a brief overview of some of the opportunities we have here at LAX, but also to quickly showcase some of the development that will transform LAX to the next level of airport experience. With the point being that all of this represents opportunities that will be available through Ramp. I'm a little biased, but it's a pretty amazing time. I probably call it a once in a lifetime opportunity to be at the airport right now. There are a lot of things going on. As Shannon already mentioned, we have the FIFA World Cup in 2026. We have the Summer Olympics in 2028. In terms of construction, we're finally building a train. Yes, finally a train. We call it the Automated People Mover, or the APM. And that's scheduled for completion sometime probably at the end of this year or next year. And that will connect all the terminals with our consolidated car rental facility, or CONRAC, with an intermodal transportation facility. And that's a facility that will provide some parking for passengers to be dropped off and picked up prior to taking the train to and from the airport terminals, as well as a Metro train station, which serves the Metro Green and the Crenshaw lines. So finally, we'll be getting a train that will connect to almost everything within the airport. But I also want to mention the development of two things, Terminal 9 and Concourse 0, and these will elevate LAX to the next level. Terminal 9 will have probably around 1.4 million square feet of space used for both domestic and international gates, many parking spaces, and a train connection, obviously. Concourse 0 will be an extension of Terminal 1 and will provide 1.3 million square feet of facilities. In fact, there's actually a big event scheduled for next month that will highlight some of the things going on in Terminal 9, and that's scheduled for April 14th. And you can contact me for more details if you want to RSVP. So as a result, over the next few years, we're looking at around $15 billion in contracting opportunities for not only in airport construction, but other opportunities such as environmental planning, design, build, construction, architecture, engineering services, and program management. But right now, I just wanted to give a quick overview of some upcoming LAWA projects for the rest of this year. And obviously, some of them may continue on for 2024 as well. And again, if there are any specific questions, please contact me. Just some caveats, this is not an exhaustive and it's not a guaranteed list because obviously some delays may occur. And of course, other opportunities may pop up as well. And that's why it's very important for all firms to register on RAMP so that you can get notices of when these opportunities come about. So let's take a look at, I'm sorry, can we go back to the previous slide? Okay, thank you. So let's start with construction. We have a couple of procurements or projects coming up this year and probably next year. One is our MATOC, or a multiple award task order contract. And this is an on-call construction procurement. We're looking for some on-call firms dealing with design build. In terms of other constructions, we'll be doing some renovations in our Tom Bradley or Tibbet terminal, as well as Terminal 2, and some reconstruction at our Van Nuys Airport as well. Moving on to concessions, there's a lot of things going on in concessions. Specifically, we're looking for some specialty vendors. We want to expand our specialty vendor lists, so to speak. So we'll be providing some more opportunities there, as well as some concessions opportunities in some of our specific terminals. Next slide. Okay, apologies, I accidentally duplicated some of the concessions opportunities. In addition to what I just mentioned, we'll have some opportunities for escrow title services, as well as some leasing and development of some of our various facilities that are coming around. Next slide. In addition, LAWA also spends around $400 million for non-professional and commodities or goods. And as you can see here, even for the schedule of this year, we have a lot of non-professional services. You can see here uniforms, cleaning, surveying, and things of that nature, as well as goods, commodities. You see here paints, furniture, custodial equipment, and so forth. And this is just on a constant basis. And again, it's be very strategic for all firms to be registered in RAMP so that you can be apprised of these notices for these procurement opportunities that are consistently coming up. Next slide. So that was just a quick overview of what we're looking at in 2023. There's more things coming up in 2024 and beyond. You see my contact here, my email address. If there's any questions on any of these opportunities, feel free to contact me directly and I could connect you to the person in the unit that can provide that information to you, as well as just want to quickly mention, we do have a online workshop available that we provide every 6 months. And if you're interested, we provide specific information related to opportunities here at LAWA.
June, thank you so much for this detail. One question I'd like to ask on behalf of the group. You mentioned that now that moving on from the heavy duty construction, there's a lot of maintenance opportunities coming up for folks that may not be in the construction space. Are these opportunities large so that a lot of folks in these areas should look at potentially partnering as a subcontractor with larger contractors, or is it something that they can actually, or is it specified in your RFPs, requests for proposals that you may put out, so that folks can see whether it's something that makes sense for them to pursue individually, or should they be potentially reaching out to larger companies to perhaps work as subcontractors?
I would be looking at all types of businesses, obviously depending on the size of my company. We will have opportunities for all levels. I know historically we've mainly given out large contracts, but we really have a desire to sort of provide more opportunities, more smaller opportunities for small firms to be primes on our contracts. So that's been our push and our desire for the upcoming years. So to answer your question, I would be looking both ways. Again, to be registered, make sure that I'm registered in RAMP, and constantly looking for partnering opportunities as well. So I would be looking at it at all levels.
Awesome. Thank you for that, because in the chat, we do have a couple questions regarding small
see
business opportunities, support, and those. So those are the items.
I see.
So
Okay.
thank you so much, June, for that. Again, everybody, June's email contact information is on screen. We would share these slides with everybody in attendance. But if you already have any thoughts or any questions, again, opportunities for LA World Airports are posted through RAMP. That is the first place that you would visualize them, no matter what NAICS code or line of work. But that's where you will see all of that information. So June, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you.
Our next speaker that I'd like to welcome is somebody who works with Links, also related to airport construction. Her name is Danielle Liu. She works with the Links outreach team. Danielle, would you like to share some thoughts or direction into the work and the opportunities for especially the small business community coming up with Links?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Carlos and Jack, for letting me join this morning. Again, my name is Danielle Liu, and I work actually for a small business. We're called Modern Times Inc., and we are a subcontractor to Links Constructors. So I'm here on behalf of Links. And as June so perfectly teed up for me, we are the team that's responsible for building the automated people mover project over at LAX. So it's a really, really exciting time, you know, for anyone that goes to the airport. You know, there's been a lot of construction, a lot of improvements, and as you heard, that's going to continue on. So in partnership with our program that we have, so we also have a small business certified firm training workshop series that we host. We wanted to partner with Jack and with RAMP and City of Los Angeles to kind of just give, you know, firms and the small business community a bit of a pipeline, right? So something to look to the future to help build your capacity. So that is why we're here. As June mentioned, our project is expected to open for ridership at some point next year. So we're very, very excited about that. I wish we would have had RAMP and this workshop a couple of years ago when we were in the thick of procuring all of our construction trade subcontractors. But, you know, with the project approaching the finish line, we wanted to come on here and, you know, let all those firms know that are in the construction field, as well as any firms that are attending today that might be related to operations and maintenance. There's another 25 years of this contract that's going to be happening, right? So we're working on transitioning over from our construction team to our operations and maintenance team. So if you are a firm today attending that sounds like you could provide services for, I'm going to leave our project email in the chat. And I do invite you to send an email, and we will be collecting information and handing that over to the team who will be overseeing the operations and maintenance, or O&M for short, that part of the project once construction is completely finished on the people mover itself. So, you know, again, we're here to offer support to small businesses. While there may not be a lot of construction opportunities remaining on our project, we do want to make sure that you have a place to go to find future opportunities. So as June mentioned, as Shannon mentioned, RAMP is where we have been referring all of our small business community and interested parties to make sure you're registered, make sure you're keeping up to date with those upcoming opportunities, and you know, staying connected. So that is my spiel. I will leave our project email in the chat, so please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions.
Danielle, I do have one follow-up question before we turn it over to Jack to dive into the RAMP program. As you mentioned, Links is the people mover. So are the opportunities, if somebody were to go on RAMP, are the opportunities appearing as links, or are they appearing by the perhaps a different contractors, or is the city posting them?
So that's a great question. So they would not be, because right now, any opportunities would have to be posted by LAWA, and Links Constructors actually already has that contract, right? So we're here because people have been asking me, where can we get opportunities from? And through me, I'm kind of the conduit to get to the right person at Links. But, because there are limited opportunities left on our project, we want to make sure that folks know where to go to for future opportunities, right? So I would say absolutely for these larger projects, you want to make sure you attend all of the pre-bid meetings, all of the conferences, all of any of that, because that's where you're going to meet people to partner up with. That's where you're going to meet the larger contractors. That's where you're going to find folks to team up with. So in the case of Links Constructors, we are the entity that was contracted by LAWA to build the automated people mover project. So our team attended all of the pre-bid workshops and the conferences and put in a proposal. And from there, we were able to build our team. And we did use a service such as LA Bovin to help us find those firms, right? So that's kind of the final piece of the puzzle, is that this is where you're going to find those connections to potentially bid on and be connected with other firms to find future projects.
Understood. Thank you. Definitely jot your information, Danielle, on the chat.
do.
We will also include it in the materials that go out, the recording, as well as the presentation that goes out to everybody. So thanks so much, Danielle and June, for joining us today. I'm going to go back to our presentation where we're talking about the RAMP program. Before we start looking and do our overview, there's one more poll question that we would like to ask of everybody. And one of the first things that we always ask is how many companies are actually registered in the RAMP platform. We have a lot of new companies that join us. Other companies have been exposed to the program for a long time. So if you could please let us know whether you are already in the system or not. We have our survey question, whether your business is registered in RAMP. Yes, no. Some folks don't know whether they're registered, but that will guide the second half of our session with Jack Ochoa. Jack has been involved in procurement for a very long time, and he will give us an overview of the RAMP platform, registration, and how to maximize your search for opportunities working with the city, with World Airports, and with other public agencies. I will end the poll in a couple seconds. We have all of our questions, and about a third of everybody present in the room is registered in RAMP. Just over half, 54%, not registered, and 11% don't know about it. So with that, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the platform. And Jack Ochoa, would you like to take over the session and take us through a RAMP overview?
Yes, I would. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to go ahead and hopefully everybody can see my screen here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the process. So one of the good things about this is that once this webinar is over, you're going to get two things. You're going to get a recording of this, of actually hearing step by step, and then you're going to get a PDF of what I'm sharing on the screen, so you can actually either print it out or have it on another screen and then walk yourself through the process, okay? So, and I'm going to do a quick time check so I know how much time I got. Okay, I got 30 minutes. So we're going to go kind of fast. So your starting point is rampla.org. So that's your starting point. So once you go to the website, it's going to look a lot like, it's going to look like this. So now when it looks like this, what you're going to do is you're going to notice a button here that says login register. So you want to go on here. Now, for those of you that are like, well, I'm not sure, you can actually check by looking to see if you have a business profile, which is up here at the top where it says home, search opportunities, business profile. You can actually look up your business, because I know there's a few of you that were like, I'm not sure, you can check. But for those of you that are not, you go right there where it says start here or login register. So once you go on here, you're like, okay, well, I don't have an account yet. So then you want to go to the bottom where it says, I don't have an account, sign up. So once you go here, you're going to fill out this information, email address, password, I believe it's 12 characters, first name, last name, phone number. I would recommend your cell number as an option here. Then check the box, I'm not a robot, and then hit register. Immediately, you're going to get an email. And the email is going to look a lot like, it's going to say, hey, you got an email, and it's going to look like this. It's going to say, welcome to Angelino. And you're going, wait a minute, I thought I'm signing up for RAMP, but yes, you are. So you're going through RAMP, and so then you're going through that. Then once you click on the link, it's going to throw you to a website. It's going to look a lot like this. Then on there, you're going to type in your company name. Now, a quick note, if you are a sole proprietor, your DBA goes somewhere else. Right here, if you are a sole proprietor, your company name is you. So everybody else, that would be your company name. So sole proprietor, you put your name, your DBA goes somewhere else. But if you're a corporation, your company that goes location, it's going to ask you if you're within the US or outside the US. So you're going to check that. If you, obviously you need your EIN number right there, your federal tax ID number. Quick note, no dashes, just to make it easier in your life. No dashes, go ahead and hit search. It's gonna send you a screen, it's gonna look like this, where you're gonna just simply type in your title of your title. So as an owner, sole proprietor, you put the word owner. Everybody else, you put in your title of the corporation. Single member LLC, if you are a single member LLC, it would be managing member / CEO. So now going on to the company profile, and this is where your DBA goes for those of you that are sole proprietors. If you're a corporation, you're going to go ahead and put your corporate name where it's going to automatically pop up there. You're going to notice a section that says summary. So in this summary section, in about 250 words or less, you're going to do a short description what your business does. You want it to be short. Don't go over about. My recommendation is under 200, but 250 is the max on this section here. You'll notice on the other side, your business address, you want to use a physical address, not a PO box, not a mailbox, etc. None of that stuff goes here. It needs a physical address. So that goes there. So as you scroll down on the page, you'll notice it'll allow you to put in your website. It'll allow you to put in your phone number. Quick note on the phone number, it does require dashes, otherwise you'll get an error. So then you want to go ahead and put in the dashes. And then again, you want to complete this field in its entirety. You have the option to put in your hours of operation. So you can put in your hours of operation Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday. Then what type of company you are goes here. And then toward the bottom here, you'll notice this one very, very important section. It'll ask you, are you a nonprofit? Well, for most of you, it's going to be yes, I'm a nonprofit. So, oh, you're not a nonprofit. So yes, nonprofits can register on this, and obviously for profit. So you got to answer the question if you're a nonprofit, yes or no. This right here is probably the most critical part where it says register as. Danielle mentioned something about when they're looking for vendors. Now, if you select Prime, if they're looking for subs on a contract, the Prime's not going to find you. So my recommendation here is to select Prime and sub, because then you get considered as the prime contractor, so the main person on the contract, or as somebody that helps with the project. So for most businesses, they probably fit into more into the, hey, I want to help to be a part of the project versus no, I want to be in charge of the whole thing. So that's my recommendation to you is, especially if you're a small, medium-sized business, I would recommend start with Prime and sub, and then you'll start getting notifications related to your trade. So NICS. So this is where so some folks struggle at. So your North American Industry Code standard number can be found one of three places. So you can either go to the uscensus.gov/NICS, or you can also go to your taxes, and on your taxes, on section, I think it's box B, it'll have an NICS code number. So I would recommend two things. One, take the time to know what your NICS codes are. Now on here, when you get to the section, it's a little bit, it kind of walks through a process, right? It'll go through your industry, it'll go through your sub-industry, and then it'll go through your sub-industry before it gets to your number. So it's a little bit where you're gonna have to like pick 2 digits at a time. So you're like, okay, my code is 56 11 16. So you're like 56, then the 1, then the 1 again, then so it's kind of like you really have to kind of walk through process. Also, as a quick note, you can do up to 10 NICS codes. One thing that I have, you gotta be a little creative sometimes. It's okay to go before you even do this, to go look at your competitors that are on this website and go, what are their codes? And maybe they're codes that you may not be thinking about, that your competition, who's probably on this website, that may already have gone through this. So it's always important to look at what codes can I get so I can start getting notification. So you can do up to 10. Now, obviously, as you move, as your business changes, or you want to remove an NICS code to add another one, you can do that. The system will keep the ones that you removed as well as the ones that you're added. So it's always a good idea to kind of stay current on your NICS codes. And I say that because many, many moons ago, I only had 1 or 2 codes, but now you're like, I'm like maxing out at 10 because you're like, okay, well, hey, I need to get notification on the other ones, on these other opportunities as well. So obviously be aware of your opportunities that are out there. So then you'll get into the demographics. So you get into this section and you'll notice here, it'll ask about your ownership type. So African-American, Asian, Caucasian, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, Native American, Sub-Asian. And you'll notice toward the bottom, it'll say other identifiers. Absolutely want to make sure you go to that section right there where it says other identifiers. There's a lot of ladies in the room. And yes, this is another way to identify. So like if somebody like Danielle is looking for women-owned businesses, they can go in here and do a quick query on, hey, let me find women-owned businesses. I want to do that. So you can do that. So I would recommend that you make sure you complete this section right here, okay? Over to the other side, you have number of employees. I believe it's under 20 is the first option. And then annual revenue under $1 million is the first option. And this next section is your bragging section. Show your experience. What experience do you have? Hey, I've actually worked with, the mouse company, right? You work with that company. So you work with Disney, or you worked with, the Hilton, or you built hundreds of homes, or you're in the janitorial service and you've done work with all these big companies. So yeah, you can brag about it right here. So you want to really use the opportunity to boost your resume of your business up a little bit, right? This is your boost of your business resume. So also known as your capability statement. And yes, in the future, there's going to be a class that's going to talk about having a capability statement. You'll notice the section right below that, it says previous contracts. So if you've ever held a contract with anybody, corporate, private, federal, this is where you want to put it. You want to show that you have experience working with this, or including, hey, I've worked with this large construction company, or I work with this large janitorial company. So you want to show that, yes, you have the ability to handle the work, right? Again, my emphasis to you is right there where it says work history. You absolutely want to basically fill out as much as you can in that section, because it just shows credibility, right? So look at it from that perspective. So then toward the bottom here, you're going to hit next, and now it's going to get into the certification. So let's talk about this for a minute. If your business is not certified, just scroll to the bottom here and hit next. So just, if you're not certified, you do not have to be certified as a small business, woman-owned business, minority. You can just scroll all the way to the bottom, hit next. For those of you that are certified as a small business with the state of California, which is the easiest certification to get, the California Public Utility Commission, which you can get certified as a minority, woman, LGBT, people with disabilities, LA County Metro, you also have that certificate if you happen to have that. Federal government, there are only a few spots on here that allow for the federal government one. So I believe it's the small business proprietary is the one that actually allows for that. But just kind of like, I would say, focus on the top three. Again, California certification, the CPUC, or Metro. If you happen to be certified by any one of those, or even the city, if you happen to have that one, yes, you can use it here. So you want to identify that you actually have that certification. So now you're done with it, and you're done with this section, and then you move on, right? So then you go and you review your profile, right? You get a chance to look at it one more time. You get to make sure all the information is right, your email address, your website, your address. So it has all the information you need. Toward the bottom here, it once again, just all you're doing is confirming the information before you hit submit. So once you hit submit, you're like, boom, I'm now in the system. So now you get to go in there and start looking for opportunities. So that's really what it boils down to. I just wanted to make sure I walked you through the process, because I mean, we want to make sure you understand that you can do this. You can be in business one day and actually register on this. So at the end of the day, this is your opportunity to get yourself on the radar. So as these big events are coming to town, you want to make sure that you're included. So that's really the bottom line for you is, again, you want to start at rampla.org. You want to go on there and then just kind of walk through the process. Like we said, you are going to get a step-by-step video on this. Like I said, just like we're going to get a recording of this. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, let the neighbors know that are in your business community, like, hey, you need to do this too. So it's always good to do that as well. So are there any questions on what I just covered?
Jack, we do have a couple questions showing up on the chat.
Sure.
Just first of all, if you could just retrace your steps for one moment, going from Angelino to the creation of the company's profile, meaning their company name, contact information, things of that nature. If you could just take a couple minutes to go over that. And another question is, as they're filling in the revenues and gross receipts, what is the difference between revenues or gross receipts?
Okay, so let me try to explain that. So let me go back to this, right? So this is the beginning of the slide. So once you get your email that you already did this part, right? Where you went in there, you created the account, you got the email. So now you're here at the Angelino, you click on activate account. So basically it's just confirming you're not a robot, just so you know what it's doing, okay? So now you're doing that, you hit this button, it sends you back to this screen, right? So then again, company name, again, sole proprietor is you are the legal entity, location, EIN, or so you want to do that. You want to put in your title. Again, right here, again, under summary, 200 words or less for summary, address on the other side, website, your phone number requires dashes, your hours of operation and what days of the week you work in. And then again, whether or not you're a for-profit or nonprofit, and then you're registered as, again, recommendation, you want to pick prime and sub, not just prime. And then you're going to move on to your NICS codes. Again, extremely important. This section right here is probably the most important part of the whole thing. Right here, probably the most important. NICS, make sure you complete it. Again, your demographics, your ethnicity, and then your experience. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I know I'm going kind of fast, but again, you're going to get a recorded version of this, and you're going to get a PDF of this exact slide. So know that you're going to have time to just kind of like do this step by step on your own. So don't feel like you're going to commit too much time. I think you're going to probably dedicate about 15 minutes to this. I promise you, no more than that. What was the other question, Carlos?
The other questions, how does a company reference revenues or gross income, for example?
Right. Okay. So for revenue, let's talk about that for a second. So for revenue, when you get to this section right here, it'll ask you about annual revenue. So your annual revenue is your top line number. So let's assume for a moment that you last year did $100,000, right? So you did $100,000. By the time you get through all of your expenses and all of it, and you're like at the bottom, and you're like at the bottom of the number, and I think it's line 35, 36, it's like $5,000. So no, that's your profit. That is not your, well, you know, they're looking for top line revenue, not bottom line revenue. So your top line is where, so it's showing that you're in business, right? So if you're $1 million, $2 million business, that is your top line number, and your net profit is way at the bottom. So on your taxes, when you're looking at it, you're looking at line 1 or line 1A or B, and it'll give you a revenue number. And then the one way at the bottom will be your net profit. So you want to put in your revenue, your top line number, not the bottom line number. I hope that makes sense. Cool.
Perfect. Jack, can you also spend a few moments? Some of the questions in the chat relate back to the opportunities, whether City of LA, whether other entities within the city, other agencies, the opportunity to connect with the buyers for current bidding opportunities or perhaps past opportunities that have emerged from somebody's NAICS code search within the system. So the opportunity to network a bit and connect with folks that are on the buying side and on the creating contracts.
Right. All right. So the best way I can explain it is, again, and for those of you that are on a computer, you might be able to kind of shrink me down and I could kind of walk you through this a little bit, but I'm going to put it on my screen here in a second so you can kind of get an idea what it looks like. So let me go back to share screen and I'm going to show you guys what is up, right? So I'm going to go here. So let's just kind of look at this as, you know what? I'm not sure if I want to register on RAMP. I recommend you do, but you're like, well, let me do it. Let me dig around a little bit. Or you're already inside, right? So now you're inside and you're like, hey, let me go check out the opportunities that are either current or in the past. So you're like, okay, well, let me go ahead and let me look. So you can go on here and you can do a couple of different things on here, right? And this is you either logged in or not logged in. So you can actually use the system to really kind of look around a little bit, poke around a little bit and see what's going on. So what you could do is actually go on here and you'll notice right here, this is your keywords. So if you're in lighting or you're in landscape or I heard there was an artist, you can put art in here. So you can put in different things in here that are related to what you do. Okay, so that's that first box. You can actually go on here and say, okay, well, what kind of categories? So is it a commodity? Is it a construction or professional services? Again, commodity, again, those are widgets and gadgets. Construction is obvious. Professional services is everything else, right? So if you're doing training or a coach or consulting, you're probably going to fit into professional services. And yes, attorneys, they're on here. So yeah, you can actually, there are opportunities for law firms in here. I just saw recently for financial services. There's stuff on here for real estate. So there are opportunities, but you have to register in order to get notification. So you can do it this way. You can also look at different categories. You're like, okay, I want to look at all of the open bids or look at open opportunities. I want to look at the awarded ones or I want to look at closed ones. Now you're probably asking yourself, why would I want to look at one that's already awarded? It already passed. But I want you to think about it. Maybe there's another project coming and they're going to let you know like, hey, this opportunity already came and went, but that same buyer or contract person may be the one that's looking at another opportunity down the road. And maybe it's not that big. Maybe it's not a $20 million project. Maybe they need a wall to be painted, right? That's like a couple $1,000. So those are going to be smaller deals that are out there that the buyer will probably know about. So that's one way to kind of look at this. The other one you can do is right here under types. So under types, there are different types of solicitations that the city does. So the one we are all commonly known for, or the one that most governments do, they'll do a bid. So that would be this one right here. So a bid is lowest price. So the lowest response will win a bid. But what the city has been doing recently a lot more, and the more agencies even around the city have been doing other types of solicitation. And those other types are up here, request for proposal. So under a proposal situation, they will look at best value as something they're looking for, right? So maybe part of the scoring might be, okay, 50%, 50 points is going to go to your price, 25 points is going to go to your past experience, and then another 25 points is going to go to other components that they're looking for, right? So that's where a proposal fits in. So then the other one that's out there is request for qualification. So you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? So a qualification one is a different type of solicitation. So think of it like this way, right? So let's assume for a moment they're looking for an advertising company, right? Or a landscape company, but the project is massive, right? And with all this rain, there's going to be a lot of grass. So they may need a lot of landscaping companies, a lot of lawn companies. So then you're looking at it going, well, wait a minute, request for qualification, they can create what's called a bench. So a bench is a list of qualified companies that have been vetted, that have been selected to go on and take on smaller projects. So a request for qualification is a different system, and request for qualification is going to get you on what they call a bench. Now, one entity that is actually on ramp that uses applications all the time is Los Angeles Unified School District. They create benches like it's nobody's business. And that is actually one of the largest people that's on this platform is actually LAUSD. So you want to make sure that, one, you're doing your homework on, okay, which ones are out there and how, right? And again, I already mentioned it, request for bid. Request for a quote is the last one, and I didn't touch on it. Request for a quote is usually a request for a quote is a much, much smaller opportunity. Now, what do I mean by much smaller? In the eyes of most government agencies, anything under $25,000 is kind of like it's a purchase order or a credit card. So those come up a lot too. So I don't want you to think like, hey, the only opportunity that exists in the city or on ramp is a quote or a bid. No, there are others that are out there, as you can see. And the system allows you to look at that, so you can look at that. There are task orders that are out there that also go out, and those are also individual projects. So let's assume for a moment that the city needed, again, a wall to be in it. They can do a task order similar to the ones above in order to kind of find opportunities that are out there, right? So these are all the different types that are out there. You can sort by your specific NICS code. So you have that. So I'm just going to pick a random one like Carlos was asking about. So I'm going to type in lighting just for giggles. So you'll notice it'll just go through the system and say, hey, these are all projects that are open right now. So they're like, hey, we need some lighting for this at the airport. So you'll click on it. You'll click on the opportunity. The opportunity will pop up. And this is what I was talking about, where you're like, okay, wait a minute. This one is closed. Notice it says closed right here. It says closed. But over here, it has who is the contract person responsible for this project. Guess what? You want to email this person right here and say, hey, I do lighting. I would want to know more information about any future projects. So you can do that. Or can I get the name of the person that won this contract so that maybe I can reach out to them and say, hey, I do lighting and I want to help on this project. So again, you being a sub on a contract. And again, that's another opportunity. So you really need to look at this just a little bit differently. Look at this like a research tool, right? This is where you can do your homework. And Kevin, in that video we began with, he started with this too, right? He did some research, figured out who does what, and then be able to connect with them. So I think that's where you need to spend a little more time doing some research that's going to help you to figure out who does what, and then reaching out to them and making sure you connect with them on a regular basis. As Danielle mentioned it, you want to show up to some of these pre-bid meetings, or when we're doing events, you want to show up. You want to, whether it's done by the city, it's done by the airport, or it's done by DWP, or it's done by our partners like the city of Long Beach, like Los Angeles Unified, like Metro, because Metro sometimes advertises on here. So those are opportunities that you need to see. How do I get in front of you so they get to know who I am, right? So remember, Rome was not built in one day. You have to start with little bite sizes in order to get into the system. So that's my recommendation for you here.
Thank you, Jack. We have time for one more clarification. And I think what would be great just to reinforce is once a company has registered, whether individual, corporate, whatever it may be, their email information, the RAMP system will begin to send out automatically the procurement opportunities. And if a company does not specify their NAICS codes, they're liable not to receive the appropriate and most targeted procurement opportunities. So could you just touch on how the system is sending out notifications for contract opportunities once a business is registered, and the importance of having the NAICS code so that they receive the right contract projects that are being posted?
Right, right. So I'm going to stay on this particular section because I think this kind of helps. It kind of drives the point home, right? So you'll notice here, this is again the same lighting one. You'll notice that it has different NAICS codes, right? So let's assume for a moment that I go through this process and I only pick one, right? But you'll notice here when they sent out the notifications, because you're registered and now you went through that process, and you personally only picked one. But then yours didn't get listed, the ones that they used, because right here, they're noticing that there's others on there. So it's always a good idea to go look at the type of work your business does and then add in other codes that are related to you. So I'm going to do another research, another search. So I'm going to pick real estate this time, just so you can kind of get an idea. Oops. All right, real estate. Someone pick this one, right? Someone just pick this one for girls. So real estate. So real estate, they'll put it on here and you're like, okay, hey, they're looking for this type of opportunity. And you'll notice toward the bottom here, they'll have what NAICS code specifically they're looking for. So that's what I'm saying is you want to make sure that you get and you add in your codes, because the system will automatically notify anybody that actually has this particular NAICS code. So you want to kind of like, you want to not leave anything on the table, right? You want to really look at it more from, how do I get into these projects that are going to help me? So let's just go here, LAUSD. And I know as Mara said best value, look, here's an example of it, right? So under here, you're in LAUSD, you're like looking at it going, okay, well, do they list out their NAICS codes? They only listed out one because it was primarily construction. So for those of you that are in the construction trade, you want to pick a primary, and then you also want to pick second and third that levels that also fit into your system, right? So you'll notice that some of these projects that are massive, right? This is a $36 million project. And you're like, yeah, I want to get in. I'm a painter. I want to get in here. Yes. So then that's where someone like the school district says, hey, we want to work with small business because we have a 25% goal to include small business in the project. I know that Danielle with the land project, they had a goal and it varied between those that are small businesses, those that are local small businesses, and those that are micro. So they have different categories. So then that's where they had to meet their numbers. So, and I think Mr. Lee will say confirm the exact same, right? You want to make sure that you have your numbers because that's how you get notified about opportunities.
Perfect. Thank you, Jack. We are right at the top of the hour, so thank you for everybody's participation this morning. As mentioned earlier, we will send out the recording, the chat. The chat has a lot of links that you can utilize, as well as a copy of the presentation. We will have this session again. When you receive your email, you will have on there the registration information. It will be towards the end of next month, toward the ends of April. Feel free to participate once again or share with other businesses out there, colleagues or coworkers, the more the merrier. I want to thank Shannon from the City of LA, June from LA World Airports, and Danielle from Lynx for joining us and sharing their insights. Once again, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day, and you will be receiving information within the next 24 to 48 hours. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.